as public representatives. So that is why we convened this urgent meeting. So we apologize upfront for anybody who might have other plans that actually conflicted with this one. So I am informed that we were actually, Deputy Minister, going to plan Engen so that we can get a sense as to what is going on and take it from there, follow the proper process. Now, the Portfolio Committee Secretary just called me to indicate that she is experiencing problems with the Engen, but I will actually ask if there's nobody from Engen who can actually immediately start the meeting to brief us all about what happened there. Anybody from Engen?
There's a gentleman, Chairperson, that has logged in from Engen. It's Mr. Yusa.
Yes. Sorry, apology. I was facing with some technicalities, so just join this session. Apology for that. First of all, thank you very much, honorable members of the committee.
Nobody from
I have with me my colleagues, Khalid, GM Strategic Communication, Strategy and Strategic Communication. I have my GM Refinery, Shikri, and I have my GM HSC, Shirley, and I have some other colleagues that will help me with driving the slide, Bongiwe. So maybe I'll start with maybe just going through the sequence of the event and some of those agenda that has actually been indicated to us before we take a question and answer. So Bongiwe, could you show the slides, please?
Chairperson.
Mr. Yusuf, I need to give you co-hosting rights. So who's presenting?
I'll be talking through the slides, but Bongiwe would actually be driving the slides. Bongiwe, are you there?
Okay. Is she in the platform?
I'm connected as Shirley, and
okay.
I need to access to present because he said the host needs to give me the access.
Shirley, I just gave you access.
Okay.
So you can flag the presentation. I'm sorry, Mr. Singh, to interject you. You may proceed.
Chairperson, thank you very much. I did tell Chair Lega that unfortunately I am speaking at a funeral at 11:30 today of a very close friend, so I'll have to excuse myself. This subject is very, very close to my heart because when I was at MEC, we came up with a multi-point plan with Province and eThekwini, and I don't know what has happened to that plan. And I think it is a result of the plan not being implemented that we are having these particular challenges now. But I'll try and be on until 11:30 and see how I can make a contribution from my side. So my apologies when I log out at 11:30. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Understood.
Chairperson, Mr. Paulson as well has apologized.
I didn't ask for apologies. Yes, we are noting all the apologies. I was still trying to go through the participants, and but all apologies are actually, this was an impromptu meeting, but it was information that is necessary for us to at the same level. So can we allow you to present?
Sorry, I was on mute, sorry. Shirley, could you upload the presentation material?
Yes, just doing that, Jason.
So can I confirm that you can see the presentation material, Chair and members of the committee? Can I confirm that you can see
visible.
the presentation material, please? Okay. So I guess maybe Shirley, if you can put actually on the presentation mode. All right. So maybe go to the next page, Shirley. Not, yeah. So this is actually the outline of my presentation. I'll start with a sequence of events, followed with the incident management itself. I'll briefly mention about the various community complaints and our environmental monitoring subsequent to that event and our response actions since the incident. Then the compliance status as indicated by one of the members just now. So that'll be gone through by Shirley. The directive and notices that we have received since the incident, and I'll close with the next step. And thereafter, I think we can actually start with any further discussion. So just on the sequence of event, so at approximately 7:08 in the morning of Friday, 4th December 2020, there was a fire reported at the Engen Refinery facility in Wentworth, Durban. So the location of the incident in relation to the fire is what we call as a Unit 44 of our North Complex. The prevailing wind direction at the time of the incident was northwesterly with a speed of around about between 10 km per hour to 20 km per hour. And the incident had actually triggered the activation of Engen Refinery Emergency Response Plan. We subsequently activate the Engen Refinery Emergency Response Team together with eThekwini Metro Emergency Services. The incident was actually managed through the activation of refineries, emergency headquarters, and Engen joint operation committee, with the refinery GM being the incident commander. And the fire was actually subsequently extinguished by 8:45, with the all clear sign, all clear declaration was declared at noon. There were 6 contract workers which were actually working at our non-process area, were taken by ambulance to a hospital, and they were actually released within an hour or so. Just to mention, basically what happened was actually these 6 contract workers were, instead of actually going to our assembly area, they decided to actually go out from our premise, and there was an outside ambulance who somehow actually managed to convince them to be taken to the hospital. But nevertheless, I think these 6 contract workers confirmed that they were actually released within an hour or so. The authority engagement post the incident included the Department of Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Department of Labor, and eThekwini Disaster Management, and a few others as well. All the refinery process unit have been safely shut down to ensure plant remains completely safe while investigation into root cause is underway. Next page, Shirley. So on incident management itself, when the form that we use, I think, to contain the fire was actually is environmentally friendly form with that number there, the F10. Constantly was used for the duration of the incident, and this foam have been intermittently been used to maintain a foam blanket, and a minimal foam is still being used even up until now to suppress the diesel LOPC. All the effluents was contained in the emergency impoundment ponds immediately after the incident, and thereafter we have taken samples of the effluent, followed by by a control release to Southern Works wastewater treatment. So whatever that we release to the Southern Works wastewater treatment actually meets whatever specification. Only then we release in a controlled manner to Southern Work wastewater treatment plant. With respect to air quality, during the incident, we have actually people going around the perimeter and around the plant using a handheld environmental monitoring conducted for measuring SOx, SO2, VOCs, and we have also taken a canister sample for a full specification analysis, which will be conducted by an expert consultant. So next page actually is just around the community complaints as of, I think that was yesterday. So we have, I think, if you were to count, it's about 60 or so complaints that we have received so far. And those were actually the nature of the complaints ranges from damages to windows, glass, ceiling, roof, to damages to some TV, DVD, and cell phone, as well as the last place you can see there is actually some issue with health and the blocked ears and sick after the explosion. And we have 7 others. These are kind of actually maybe related to what they claim as related to the shock itself, things like you know, they almost had heart attack and so forth. So this actually is the nature, the category of the complaints from the communities that we have received as of I think yesterday. So the next page is just showing where are actually those complaints from the neighborhood. So the furthest ones actually is that 65 Ocean View Drive. Majority of the complaints are just around the residents around our perimeter. As you can see there, the bubble dot that actually showed the complainants, residents. And as you know, as what I have indicated, that the prevailing wind condition was actually northwesterly, so it's coming, I think, from the almost the left corner bottom, going up diagonal to the right corner of that plot there. The blue plot so basically is coming from the bottommost corner there to the topmost corner. So it's around that direction. Okay. And the next page showed the location of the environmental monitoring that I've conducted throughout the event, location of the volume sampler and the measurement they've taken. So in general, basically, as we can see on the table there, the SOx limit were actually well below the permissible limit, which is, and that measurement is actually in ppb as compared to a SOx limit of 134 ppb per hour. So in general, basically, the air quality monitoring during the event was actually low. As what I've indicated, we have taken 2 volume sampler, and that volume in a canister, and that air quality would be actually analyzed by an independent consultant. So I think this session, I think I'll hand over to Shelley to go through. Shelley, if you can.
Thanks, User, and good morning, members of the committee. So I'm going to take you briefly in terms of our compliance to our permits. So the first one I will start with is the refinery compliance with regard to the directive. In 2013, we were issued with the directive, and there were actions that were undertaken as part of the directive. And we received the letter with our closure status in 2016. But as part of that closure, there were 5 outstanding items there that were planned to be done in the future. So this is just to give an indication of the status of those items that were not finished at the time when we were issued with the letter of closure. So the first one is the LPG rail loading, which has been planned for our main shutdown in 2021. And then the LPG loading pump that has been finalized. The LPG vessel level detection is being planned for 2021, the main shutdown. And then the two remaining ones, the crude and gasoline tax, as well as the integrity assessment. All these have been closed, and the remaining ones will be taken as part of our major shutdown in 2021. This update are being submitted to the relevant authorities as per the requirements, and the status has also been communicated to the authorities. With respect to our compliance to our major, because we are a major hazard installation as defined by the OSH Act, and there are activities that we need to do as part of complying to the MHIRX. So what we have here is we need to do the assessment, and the latest one was done in 2018, and it was conducted by an independent servant who is independent company, which has been accredited by the Department of Labor as an approved inspection authority. And after we have finalized that MHI assessment, as per the regulations, we need to report that to the relevant authorities, and in this case is the local provincial director of the Department of Labor, then the chief inspector, as well as the local authorities. So all this was done in 2018. And then as part of what we also need to do is to advertise that we are an MHI as per the regulations, and this was done in the two local newspapers, the Mercury and the Southland Sun. And we, as part of the requirements, we are expected to do annual emergency exercises. We have done one on the 27th of September, the one on the 23rd of October, and then the one on the 4th of November. So these are the requirements as per the MHRA regulations, and this is our compliance status as it relates to that. We have received, since the incident, we have received several notices from the different authorities, including the Provincial Department, as well as the Department of Labor. So these are some of the requirements that, as per those notices. The first one is to appoint an independent community facilitator to be the liaison between the refinery and the community. The second one is to produce an action plan to address the impacts on the surrounding community to be developed as part of the liaison forum. Then we need to assess the health impacts of the incident on the community, and this will be done by an independent toxicologist, where they will conduct a toxicology assessment to determine the potential risks of exposure on both the workers and the community. We also need to conduct an emission impact assessment and quantification of the pollutants and the emissions released. This will also be done. And then appoint an external assessor for structural engineer to assess the damages, because during the explosion and the fire, some of the neighboring units may have been affected. So we have been asked that before we do anything else, we need to assess the extent of those damages. And this will be done by an external structural engineer. And then we also need to appoint an external consultant to conduct the root cause for for the incident. All these activities, we are busy with them, and they will be finalized soon. I'm gonna hand over to you, Sana.
Thank you, Shirley. So this kind of actually maybe the last slide in terms of the action taken and the next step from our side. So first, I think the action taken during since the day of the incident, we have actually immediate response to all the complaints, and we have also provided assistance to those who claim that they have actually been affected, and we have confirmed receipt of all the complaints. We have had at least a couple of community stakeholder engagement, and we have had also basically engagement with the various authority, MEC, EDTA, DFF, and so on and so forth. And as the next step for the action with respect to the incident, so we will actually develop a comprehensive action plan to establish and manage impacts of the incident to the community. And we just want to emphasize the established communication process to be followed to report all complaints and procedure to be followed to lodge a complaint. And number 3, we'll actually verify and make assessment of all the complaints on case-to-case basis on every single case. And then we'll continue with our stakeholder engagement with the community leaders, all relevant stakeholders, and with all the relevant government agencies. So with that, I think I'll hand over to you, Chair, for any further clarification or further discussion.
Thank you. I think from here, as you indicated, I've said we are members of the portfolio committee. We are not the executive, but we are public representatives. We are supposed to do oversight. So there are relevant authorities who should actually be briefing us as well. So now I would ask the department, I was informed, Deputy Minister, you are leading the team, to brief us about what is happening, what has happened, and whatever, on the basis of what we are listening here. And then that will be followed by the Provincial department, and they will follow that order. Over to you, Deputy Minister.
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and good morning to you, and good morning to all honorable members, and also members of the public that are with us in this portfolio committee. Chairperson, can we just request that they remove their slide on the, thank you very much, it's removed here. Chairperson, I am accompanied by my team from DEF. They are here to make their own presentation, but I must also indicate that the presentation does not differ very much from the other presentation that we had since the incident. The time that the incident started, my department has been part of that. Lastly, can I also then convey the apology of my minister, since she is attending to another meeting today. Thank you very much, Chairperson. I have my team here. Sunny Boy is here, and other members of the of DEF, senior members of DEF are also among ourselves. Can I then give over then to Sunny Boy to take us through our presentation, Chair? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Minister. Good morning, members of the Portfolio Committee, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, my acting Director General, the HOD from the Provincial Department, and all protocols observed. Chairperson, as my Deputy Minister has highlighted, that the presentation does not differ that much with the one that has been presented by Engen. I must also highlight that Section 30, which has been promulgated in terms of National Environmental Management Act, it's a section that allows relevant authorities to manage incidents as soon as they occur. And the general principle that is applied is that in terms of your Section 30. Once there's an incident, the responsible person, in particular Engen, is expected to report to all relevant authorities simultaneously. And upon receipt of that information, that is called alert information in terms of Section 30. Upon receipt of that information, then the relevant authorities will then come together, either at a separate location to plan for how they will then monitor the incident, but predominantly we meet at the facility. Another facility, we then establish the so-called Joint Operations Committee, which will be, once established, it will be in existence from the moment the incident happened up until the closure. In the process, there will be a lead department. It may vary. Sometimes the national department may be the lead lead department, and in certain instances, it might be a municipality or a provincial department. Like in this case, the provincial department is the lead department, and we have been working together with our colleagues also in support of the MEC for the Environmental Affairs Department, as well as the MEC for COCTA. Can you go to the first slide? Grant, can you move? Can you go to the second slide? Grant, can you move? Can you move to the second slide? Chairperson, I might indicate that I'm going to skip some of the slides that actually are similar to those that have been presented by Engen. I might highlight one or two cases where there's slight differences. My presentation seemed to be stuck. My apology, because I'm not in a position to can move the presentation from my side.
Or can you, in the meantime, talk to it?
Good morning, Chair. Apologies, it's Isham Abada, the Acting Director General, Chair. Can we maybe ask that we try and load the presentation from our side just to see, because it seems like Mr. Walter's system is stuck. We'll just try and assist if you can just load it from our side. Sunny Boy, Chair?
Yes, I can see. I think, did you?
Okay, thank you, Chair. We'll then proceed from our side.
And go to the second slide. Second one.
Okay.
Up again. The purpose, the one that talks to purpose.
Okay, there we go.
Okay. Oh, it went to the third slide. And go to the second slide. The one that talks to purpose. Okay. Honorable Chair and the members, the purpose of our presentation was to give a brief background, which has already been given by Engen, and outline the environmental health and environment and health, human health and infrastructure. That has also been presented by Engen. Also, the steps that have been taken. This is we'll talk to in the slides that are following. Next slide. This we can skip. It has been shown in the slides. This slide is concerned. Quite a number of issues have been captured, but what I wanted to address is the damage to the flats, in particular the for 5 days, as well as the removal by human settlement of the persons to a decanting unit. I've seen in the slides for Engen, they have provided that they will be helping with families, but in case they were not, then the department that is responsible to do this, take these steps, would to, and section 13, subsection 9, to establish a joint operations committee, which provides progress to our respective political heads and our administrative heads in terms of the management of the incident. As well, we also manage the notices and directives that might be issued to the responsible person. In this case, it will be Engen. Next slide. Spoke to the notices and directives that have been issued from our position as relevant authorities. We are actually bound to make sure that in order to ensure that there is proper compliance facility, and we realize that there might be a need for specific actions to be undertaken by Engen or the responsible person, then we will issue a verbal directive directing the Engen or the responsible person responsible for the incident to carry out specific steps in line with the requirements of the Act. And that directive that might have been issued in terms of Section 36 will have to be confirmed within 7 days. It will cover the cause, the nature, steps to be taken, and how they will go about remediating and rehabilitating. Furnish us with the environmental management plan in terms of how best will they be in a position to can deal with the impact of the incident. Next slide. Next slide. Interventions. The provincial department mobilized officials to go to site, and at the same time, the other departments such as DEF, Labour, City of eThekwini joined, and as a result, a joint operations briefings were made to the MEC for Environmental Affairs, Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs on the 4th and the 5th. And at the same time, there was a visit by the MEC from COCTA to the facility, accompanied by officials from the relevant authorities. And there was a briefing as well to the briefing what councillors and emergency services departments were present. Next slide. As a follow-up inspection, the purpose thereof, and it was carried out by officials from DEF, and yesterday it was specifically to check how to extinguish the fire. Diesel spilled. They could not get any response because of this is it's still under investigation. But the -30 will report accordingly to the our political heads as well as our administrative heads. Next slide. Committee, take note of.
You have given yourselves 14 days to get a
good morning, Honorable. I'm joined by colleagues here, Ms. Spumelele Noelle, who will be making a presentation, Ms. Noloiso Wadingo, and Ms. Vanessa Maklu, and Mr. Sabelo Ngobo, and Dr. Zakele Dlamini. They will be taking us through the presentation. What we are going to do, Honorable Chairperson and the members, we are not going to deal with some of the issues that have been covered earlier by our colleagues from National and Engen, but we'll zoom in into the areas that we have been dealing with and make sure that we also emphasize some of the issues that the portfolio committee has asked us to deal with, especially the incidents that have taken place before, because there was a requirement that we must deal with those issues. We will go through those issues and then take through the committee. I'm going to hand over to Ms. Noelle to take the committee through our presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, HOD and the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee and all the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee and the leadership from all the represented organizations. Good morning. I am doing this presentation, which provides to an extent an overview from the side of the province in as far as this incident is concerned. I have to indicate that more details have already been covered by Engen, DE. Perhaps there won't be a need for us to go through those again. This is the presentation outline. We were going to provide the background We provide some orientation of the site, the incident by the various authorities, particularly within the province. We'll also talk to other interventions that have been implemented as the department in as far as this establishment is concerned, dating back to something like 2006. And for that, will take us through those incidences. And we'll then after that talk about the issues posed. The way forward that we are presenting is the way forward that has the province, the political leadership of the province, as they have been meeting with their last meeting having taken place on Sunday night. And then we will just say the ground has been provided. The discussion has also been provided, the detail, and the issues air quality also have been highlighted. I am going to be zooming into this slide, which is slide number 12, which talks to officials to undertake a site visit to assess. This happened on the day of the incident. The fire broke out around 6 and around 8 situation, and provide whatever direction or support that was needed at that point in time. A joint operation 5th of December, where ward councillors and emergency services departments, a senior member of the management within ETIA, the director that is responsible for air quality, has been assigned to work together with eThekwini Metro in terms of air quality management, which is the critical source of conflict, mainly between the industries and communities in this area particularly. ETIA continues to monitor the progress. Other interventions continued. It is reported, the Human Settlements Department as well as a Social Department also responded to the impacts that the incidents had on the communities. Their full reports will be obtained at a later stage. We can also indicate that the Department of Human Settlements also took some action. They had an engagement with Engen, and they agreed to accommodate the residents from the 4th to the 8th of December at a place that is suitable. Security was also arranged by the same Department of Human Settlements, to safeguard the belongings of the residents from the 4th of December onwards until the situation has dealt with fully. There is ongoing social facilitation as the situation is still fragile, and appropriate communication with the broader community is undertaken. So in terms of progressing as far as those commitments by the Department of Human Settlements are concerned, were accommodated at the decanting site in Osterville until the block that was damaged is rectified. The rectification of the affected block, therefore, to undertake this action, having done which also belong to the department at the moment. The social, in terms of the second bullet, social development, has got a children's home in the vicinity, and the children have been moved to another facility. 3 of those children the Department of Public Works has been engaged to do the repairs. Public Affairs Department of Engen. A war room comprising of ETIA, COCTA, Department of Health, Department of Employment and Labor, and the city has been established to. I am now going to hand over to my colleague, Vanessa McClue, who is the district manager working for ETIA, but responsible for eThekwini Metro, just to take us through importance in as far as how we are dealing with this matter is concerned. Ms. McClue?
Thank you, Mrs. Noelle. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be talking primarily with regards to the Section 30 incidences. I'm ready for the next slide. Thank you. With regards to the events that have happened historically, we have tabled a fire in 2006, and the root cause will be described per incident for that incident in the vacuum distillation unit's bottom circuit. On the 11th of October 2006, there was a release of black smoke from the FCC unit, which is a catalytic dioxide, carbon dioxide, light hydrocarbons, and an atmosphere. And we recorded 19 complaints from the community. That followed thereafter was November 2007. And catalyst finds from the carbon monoxide boiler. And this was the result of the release of approximately 1 ton of aluminium silicate into the environment. The fallout had affected the membrane, which impacted the community up to a distance of 10 kilometers from the source, and about at least 143 complaints were recorded from the community. In the next Section 30 incident, it was reported on the 19th of March 2008 that there was a series of explosions in the oily water sewer along Railway Avenue at the refinery. The root cause was described as follows: ignition of vapor in the oily water sewer, and the most probable source of the ignition was said to be hot works being conducted at the Sassel Wax plant. This incident resulted in the release of light gaseous hydrocarbon into the atmosphere. Next slide, please. The following Section 30 incident occurred in July 2008, and it involved the leak of an underground line conveying naphtha to the reformer unit. The incident resulted in the release of approximately 1,000 cubic meters of product into the groundwater. The next incident was reported on the 13th of November 2008. It involved a fire in the hot circuit crude pump on the crude unit in the northern complex of the refinery. A failure of bolts on the flange above the pump resulted in the leak of hot crude. The bolts failed due to excessive vibration in the pump that caused the pump casing to crack and dislodge the pump. That's the release of hydrocarbons. The incident resulted in the release of hydrocarbons to the atmosphere, and 30 complaints were recorded. Next slide, please. The next event was recorded on the 16th of March 2010, and it involved a spill at the exchanger, described E2023 pressure safety valve bleeder. And the incident was as a result of plugs on the bottom circuits of the PDA unit combined with a bar plug that was not properly tightened, resulted in the release of approximately 200 liters of flushing oil into the environment. As a result, oil droplets were carried by the wind and were deposited on the premises of 4 complainants along Badula Road in Merebank. The following incident occurred on the 13th of March 2011. It was a flaring incident and resulted in the release of stormwater into the Badula Canal. There was an emergency shutdown of the refinery due to an external power failure and the release of stormwater due to a storm event. This was the description of the root cause. The incident resulted in the release of nitrogen and traces of unburnt hydrocarbon into the atmosphere, and we recorded 10 complaints from surrounding communities. Next slide, please. In the incident recorded on the 10th of October 2011, we had a release of crude oil mist and a consequential fire. A flange failure on the crude desalter resulted in a crude oil spray that deposited oily droplets on the community, and we recorded 719 complaints from the surrounding community. The next incident was recorded on the 7th of April 2012, and that also involved a fine oil spray. This resulted in 12 complaints from the community about the fallout affecting property. As a result of all of these incidents, the department issued a directive in 2013 to Engen Merebank Refinery to commission a specialist study to undertake a risk and integrity assessment, which was to inform a plan of action that proposed measures to prevent the occurrence of emergency incidents, as well as measures to mitigate the environmental impact of such incidents when they occur. The directive was fully complied with, and there were no major reported Section 30 incidents that have occurred from the period of 07 April 2012 up until the most recent incident that occurred on the 4th of December 2020. Thank you, Mrs. Noelle.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then as we move on, after that last incident, yes, there was a closeout directive. We can report also that in October 2016, there was a joint EMI audit that was undertaken at the refinery. The team comprised of the EMIs from the Metro and from ATIA. The outcome of those joint operations was that no new non-compliances were identified. Hence, there were no actions that were taken from that point. Monthly air quality monitoring meetings have been convened by the Metro to address the issues relating to air quality. Quarterly compliance reports are submitted to national department and province, and to date, nil non-compliances warranted any action from ATIA. In terms of way forward, this way forward was crafted after the meeting that took place between the political principals, and this is then an outline of those actions agreed upon. Number one, ATIA is to receive reports in terms of Section 30 incidents reports in terms of NEMA. And this report will be subjected to independent peer review, which will determine as to the cause of this incident and any enforcement actions that need to be undertaken. Number two, the war room led by COGTA will continue with its well-coordinated response to reduce the impact of the explosion in the surrounding communities. And the city of eThekwini will play a key role in the social dialogues to ensure stability in the area. Number three, the MEC for ATIA is to meet with the national CEO of Engen to discuss the reported possible closure of the refinery and provide feedback to the provincial cabinet on the outcome of that meeting. Number four, ATI and the Department of Health will undertake some health impact study to establish some correlation between the pollution caused by the refinery and the diseases affecting people in the surrounding communities. Number five, ATIA is to undertake an assessment of pollution in other areas and take necessary enforcement actions against major polluters in order to save the lives and protect the environment. And lastly, the Department of Social Development is to provide is to continue providing the post-trauma counseling to affected persons within the surrounding communities. As a recommendation, it is recommended, Honorable Chair, that the National Portfolio Committee of Environment, Forestry and Fisheries note
is some sludge and oil running off a water causeway at Engen onto the beach. So I saw that in the eThekwini's presentation, they said that there had been, this was taken by someone this weekend, and this is oil or black sludge flowing from Engen onto the beach and into the ocean, and this is then being obviously deposited along the coast of Durban. So there's that issue as well. So I'd like to know how that's going to be addressed. With regard to the remediation of environmental damages, a historic overview was given of numerous incidents. I'd like to know what exactly Engen has done in the wake of those incidents in terms of environmental and specifically what they're going to be doing now in terms of environmental remediation. I'd like a report on that. Then the long-term plan, I see that one of the recommendations or the way forward was to discuss with EDTA and other stakeholders about moving the Engen refinery, because not only have there been these repeated incidents, but there are regular flares coming from that refinery in the area that residents repeatedly report on, and nothing much is done about it. There's the health studies that have been done in this area where cancer rates are alleged to be 24 times higher than in the rest of the country. There's concerns over benzene, which is another carcinogenous emission. And that's also, I think it's how many times higher? 15 times higher than the World Health Organization guidelines on concentrations of benzene in the atmosphere. So this is obviously a huge health hazard. And now it's also become a danger to individuals living around this refinery. So what is the timeline for this meeting to discuss the way forward? Because I think it can't be an indefinite discussion. I mean, this issue on the South Durban Basin has been going on for like, I don't know, 50 years. And so I think we need some timelines. When is the meeting going to take place? When will we have a resolve to this? Yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Brian. I see Dave.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairperson. Just allow me to introduce myself. I am the new member on the committee, been appointed by our leader recently. So it is good to meet you and the members of the committee. Chairperson, I've got a couple of questions. The first question is, and I've got a couple that are directed probably towards Engen, and some of the others which would be directed towards either the municipality or the relevant departments. The first one just is in terms of the root cause. We have heard from the fire department that it was what they term a high pressure fire. But is there any indication yet of the actual root cause of the fire? That's the first question. Then in terms of the air quality tests, Engen's mentioned that a number of samples were taken and air quality tests are going to be undertaken. Who is going to be undertaking those tests? What is the name of the independent group that is going to be undertaking those tests, and what is it that they will be testing for? That is quite important, I think. Then just in terms of, there was a mention of getting an independent community liaison in place for the community interaction. From what I've gathered thus far, there's a bit of a fractious relationship already in place between the departments, Engen and the community. And as I understand, recently a meeting actually had to be cancelled because there was a bit of a disagreement before that community meeting was even able to take place. Can we have a little bit more information as to how those community engagements are envisaged to take place, taking into account the current fractious environment, and whether or not potentially the Deputy Mayor herself will form part of those discussions with the community. And then just another quick one, and we've had this kind of litany of issues that's come through and been communicated in terms of all of the various incidents that have taken place with this facility. And I'd just like to find out potentially from the provincial department in terms of compliance, whether or not this is normal to have this number of incidents from one particular facility. And if they can just expand on that, whether or not this is kind of a par for the course in terms of the number of issues that have been reported. And the very last one is just towards the municipality in terms of the health response. I saw that they noted 27 complaints were received by the department, and one notice was issued. Are they able to just advise in terms of what happened to those other 26 complaints and how those were investigated and what the results were? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Chairman.
Honorable Modise.
Chairman, thank you very much.
I can see the iPhone. Okay.
Yes, Chair.
Yes, you can
That's
proceed.
Bongani Msembu.
Who?
That's Bongani Msembu iPhone, Chair.
Oh, the iPhone. No, let's start with Modisa, then I'll come back to you. I thought it's him. Okay.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to fellow members of the committee and Deputy Minister and everyone present today. Chair, my clarity-seeking questions will just be random, and whoever feels proper to respond to the question that I would have posed would do so. This is because I did not necessarily note who was presenting when and saying what. This was deliberate because I'm extremely passionate about this incident, and I have noted a number of concerns, in fact, from all the presentations, it being the provincial department, it being our own Department of Fisheries and Forestry, it being eThekwini. No one speaks vociferously about the conditions of our people. In fact, one would assume that all their presentations were written by Engen because theirs is the protection of business and profit. And no one acknowledges that there was a severe inconvenience on the part of the community that lives around Tara Road, I'm told is in Wentworth. And I'm giving this as a preface, Chair, deliberately because if my memory serves me well, I believe that we had met Engen and a number of other. Hey, there's some noise there. I believe that we had met Engen and a number of NGOs in Cape Town sometime last year. These NGOs complained about a number of emissions that arise from Engen. And Engen presented all gloomy and all sundry picture. And as seasoned environmental activists, we took note and serious exception to that report, like we should do with this recent occurrence. Now, Chair, I believe that the company of the magnitude of Engen should have foresaw that an incident of this nature could have taken place. Now, if they did foresee that it is likely to happen, what precautionary measures or preventative measures did they put in place? And what happened? Why did this occurrence still take place, even did there were precautionary and preventative measures? Now, in my preface, Chair, I spoke about my interest and passion of the community precisely because we are community representatives. We are members of this committee, but we are here at the behest of those who elected us to represent their aspirations and views. Now, one presenter said that there is a communication with the affected community. And if I'm not mistaken, he or she said that this communication with the affected community was through social media. And I think he or she also said, she also spoke about outreach activities. Now, we need to know if there is communication with the affected community, and to what extent is this communication impactful and helpful? Did they go to the community, or how? How was this communication? How has it taken place? But what was the response of the community? How are they receiving the impact and the fact that they are directly affected by this occurrence? I've also noted that there's 14 days incident report. We need to know if this 14 days incident report is just going to explain what these presenters have just spoken to, or is it also going to speak about the preventative measures for such occurrences in the future? The last point, Chair, without really, because we have not been there and we had resolved that we would visit this refinery, without assuming the devastating impact. Of course, it is devastating, but without assuming the impact, according to the history of events there, these events have affected a lot of people. we need to know what have these people benefited in terms of the social labor plans of Engen, other than air pollution and air quality management. What have our people benefited from occurrences of this nature? But it is also a problem, Chair, to me, because when the historical events at Engen were presented, it seems that there is a lot of these occurrences that are happening there. And my belief is that it happens at the same refinery. But these historical events at Engen do not speak about the impact it had on our people and on our environment. And after this incident report, what were the findings and what are the repercussions? Was there consequence management, or do we just assume that this is a natural occurrence and nobody is held responsible? If there are people who were found to be responsible for these incidences, what were the consequence management and so on? Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair. It's Boanim Tembo speaking. Thank you for the opportunity.
Sorry, Chair. Please don't forget butter.
Okay, can I proceed, Chair? Can I proceed, Chair?
Proceed, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, thank you very much for the opportunity. It's Bonganim Tembu from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance. Chair, I would like to commend the last speaker, and the other previous speakers have touched on very crucial points, but mainly the last speaker. You know, I think for me, he has brought the human element in this conversation, of which it has been lacking from the beginning of this Zoom meeting. Because the way it was happening, it was like we're just presenting for the sake of presenting. But I think the last speaker has done exceptionally well to bring the human element to show that people were affected, communities were affected, and people's lives were at risk. Chair, the refinery that we are talking about here, Engen Refinery, there are people who are disturbing on the background, I'm not sure when, but I'll proceed, Chair. The company at hand.
I thought they're behind you.
No, they're not behind me, Chair. No,
okay,
Chair.
No. I think let's appeal to everybody to make sure that people who are behind them are not making noise. Okay,
thank you very much, Chair. Thanks, Chair. Chair, the company called Engen has been polluting with impunity, disregarding communities' health for decades. And this is totally unacceptable, Chair. You know, we are an organization right across the road from the very same industry. This industry, Chair, has refused on numerous occasions to meet with us as an environmental justice and human rights organization representing the communities of South Durban. If I were to compare apples with apples, Chair, the refinery next to them called SAPREF, we have engaged with SAPREF on numerous occasions because they are a willing company to engage on issues that affect the community. But Engen has continuously ignored our knock on the door, Chair. And this is total disrespect. And I think this needs to be clear to your son and the CEO and everyone in Engen. Chair, I would also want to find out about the presentation that was made by DEF under section 8 of NEMA, if Engen has consulted and or informed all relevant officials or department within the specific time. Did they do that within the specific time? And also, Chair, the EDTA, they spoke about in a presentation that the public consultation has been undertaken. So I would like to ask them, Chair, because I'm not sure which public consultation they are talking about, Chair. We have not engaged with the company in question, Engen Refinery. We have been wanting Engen to engage with the community on a public space with different derogation, of which that has not yet taken place. So probably, Chair, I would appeal to you to please, with your committee, to make sure that Engen meets with the community and they explain to the community exactly how or what are the mitigation plans or their plans going forward to ensure that such incidents won't happen in the near future. Because Engen is one problematic company in South Africa, Chair, when it comes to explosion, gassing, and different chemical smells around its fence line. And also, Chair, I would also like to find out, the issue from the EDTA presentation. They said the city of eThekwini will be playing a role in the social dialogue. We're really looking forward to that, Chair, because I don't see that forthcoming. This industry has been above the law. They've been let to do as they please for the past decades. As I've compared apple with apple, comparing with Sapref, their very neighbor. So, the lady called Vanessa McClue, she spoke about 19 complaints from communities that were captured. So I want to find out were those complaints directly to the city health officials complaints line, or was it complaints that went through the call center of Engen? And the other issue as well, Chair, that actually disturbed me. The gentleman called Boom Kulisi from the fire department. He spoke that no pollution was going to what?
Sorry. Can I disturb the arrangement?
Yes, Chair.
I thought you are one of the new members of parliament because I didn't know all of them. We would not have allowed you to speak before the other members of parliament. We thought it's just questions. There was an arrangement to have
Yes, I'm listening, Chair.
A presentation from yourselves, from the members to ask questions or comments. Now, actually, would you take exception if you can have just the last question now?
Yes, Chair. Thank you very much, sir, for considering at least the last question, sir. Sir, this issue about the gentleman from the fire department speaking about no pollution going towards the community. Chair, if you looked at the map during the presentation, there is community right around the refinery. So for him to say there was no pollution that affected the community, I'm not sure if he's claiming that the refinery is situated in a desert. It's totally unacceptable and it's incorrect to say there's no pollution that affected the community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Honorable Mbata.
Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I think I've listened to the presentation, but my problem is that we didn't receive the presentation before so that we can prepare ourselves for the meeting, for this meeting, because this is a very important meeting. And I've had all people speaking on what they've done, but I haven't had them touching, because firstly, let me just raise this thing. I think it was last year, Chairperson, where we had young people who came to present to us as a portfolio committee, and they they had actually a problem about how Engen is located and next to the residential area, of which it was wrong. Until now, when we have this fire, and there's no way there where there is such a fire that it doesn't, the pollution doesn't affect the nearby communities, the fumes also. And what I've heard from all of them, they are not touching on the issue of the involvement of the approved inspection authority, which is an occupational hygienist. It must look at the environmental health perspective with all the measurements. We need that approved inspection authority on the issue of occupational hygiene. They are not talking about that, and they are not talking about also the occupational, the report from the first report from the occupational health nurse, and within the SASOL, and the medical report, and also the report from the occupational health doctor. We didn't hear about that, because all this incident must be reported to the I forgot that department, because after some years, if they found that they have been affected by this fire, they need to be compensated. The compensation commissioner, they are not telling us if those people were how many people were checked, how many people were reported according to the OHS Act and occupational hygiene. I don't hear that. And also, I don't hear them telling us about their on-site OHS issues that they are supposed to do on daily basis, because they are supposed to do their own inspection. But they told that they are giving us the external reports. Where are their own internal reports that tell us that their compliance? And if Engen didn't give us their presentation on time, to me, they are saying they are telling me that they are hiding the information, because that presentation from them is very important, is a key report that will make us to debate this issue. But to me, even when the municipal is talking, they are talking about environmental health, of which I say congratulations. I'm also an EHP by profession, but I'm also an occupational hygiene. But I don't see where there's the municipality talks about the issue of occupational health and safety, the issue of occupational hygiene. And in this matter, they are supposed also to involve also the department in their report. All those reports must be there, including the Department of Labor, including they must also involve the Occupational Health National Department, which is in Joburg, where we have the qualified occupational hygienists, the qualified environmental specialists who can do the measurements and everything, because we need to know the reports, and which also talks about the measurements. Because when they talk about the person who's going to do toxicology, we need to have a report that these people can use going further when they need to claim from the compensation commissioner. This is a serious incident which can affect, and has affected our community. So now I am very much worried as a member of this portfolio committee when we had such a meeting with the young people who are concerned on this on SASOL. And now we had one representative from the eThekwini municipality. Chair, I'm finishing. This is very important. We had one representative from the eThekwini municipality who couldn't answer them on that day. And now we have such an incident of this fire. And if you look at the photos, there are houses nearby. of which somehow when this thing was done, was done not correctly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I think we'll have to manage our program well. Now we are supposed to respond to the questions that have been raised by the honorable members. But I think we mistakenly allowed the NGO to comment, and in the process of commenting, it was actually driving us to come to some conclusions without clarity from Engen, from the department, and from the municipality. I think I'm not going to order how we must respond. Depends on how you have picked out your notes. Or maybe let's start with Engen, because we are talking about Engen.
Thank you, Chair. And I think maybe first of all, I would like to extend my apology because I may have to leave the meeting by around about 12:40 due to some other commitment that I have. So I'll try to actually respond to most of the questions I've captured, but I have also my colleagues to respond, or otherwise we could even maybe provide a written response to some of those questions that actually been raised. Maybe I should basically, Engen, we are responsible.
Chair, may I interject, please? It's Bobby Peak from Groundwork.
Yes.
May I interject, Chair?
Yes, I'm listening.
On a point of order, if one may say so, even if I'm not in Parliament. Thank you for this opportunity. But if Engen is going to leave in 30 minutes' time, I think firstly that's completely disrespectful. You need to tell them they will stay until we all finish speaking. They have no right to walk out of this meeting until they've heard everything.
I agree.
And if the Engen CEO would like to have a written response, I think that would be more meaningful, because it can also be very clear what he is committed to and what he hasn't committed. His predecessors have lied often, and I would not put it past him and his management to probably also lie. So I think, and I'll give you an example of that. So my suggestion would be written, please.
Chairperson, a point of order.
Can I just respond to that?
Maybe let.
Can I?
Chairperson?
Yes, can we get clarity, Mr. Yusa? What are you suggesting? Are you saying all of you are leaving?
No, it's just me, because I just need to attend to another engagement. It's just me, but the rest, I think they will stay on.
The
but
rest
let me just
will remain, yes.
Yeah, the rest will remain. I have my GM for HSEQ, I have my GM for the refinery, and I have my GM for the strategic and communication with me. Basically, they should be able to respond, but let me just try to respond to some of the questions that I have captured. There are actually numerous.
Sorry, Chairperson, just a point of order, Chairperson.
Can I start actually responding, Chairperson?
Who is calling for point of order?
It's Honourable Bryant, Chairperson.
Yes.
Chairperson, it's just following on from the comment that was made previously, and I just ask your ruling on this. This is a parliamentary committee dealing with a very, very serious disaster that's taken place recently. I'd like to, understand how important a meeting it is that Mr. Hassan would have to leave in 20 minutes after being asked to join us here today. I agree with the previous speaker. This is a very serious issue, and I feel that he should stay until the end of the meeting at least.
Chair, can I actually maybe start responding to the questions?
Can I be allowed to check the state before we.
Chair, you have to mute Fairvale.
Hello.
The Fairvale mic has to be muted, Honorable Chair.
Can I be allowed
to mute your camera sound? The door was closed.
Can I?
Honorable Chair, we're not hearing you.
Okay, I'm saying we have heard this. It was not a request, by the way, to say this gentleman who was saying he is likely to leave in 20 minutes. Now he explained himself to say he has got these other people who are going to remain. So I would suggest that the members of the portfolio committee must be very clear in terms of whether they accept. I assume this is a proposal from him, from his structure, to say he has got people competent enough who can remain, but it is the committee that must decide whether they accept. It is true, we invited Engen to come here. We invited the department, we invited the provincial department and the municipality. But like I'm saying, we are hearing him now. He has explained himself. What is the response of honorable members on his request? I am framing it to be a request to leave. What are the honorable members' response? I've heard one member, Honorable Brian. Would we want to collapse the meeting because one person says he's leaving? I'm checking from members. So I'm not sure if silence then. Oh, I can see Honorable Mbata. Honorable Mbata.
Is it not?
Oh, you can come in as well. Honorable Mbata's hand was up.
Chair.
Yes, sir. Okay.
I think, like I have said when I started to speak about there's no order in this meeting, Chair. And got high-profile people, but they just speak as they wish. If they can respect you as the chair. What I wanted to say, Chair, like I said, I have a problem with Engen, which didn't give us their presentation on time, so that we can look at it, because they are the key people in this meeting today. Other departments can give us what they have done, but the main one is the Engen. And I have a problem if they want to leave before the meeting ends. And they must sit until they get all our concern, because we are really concerned of what has happened. And Chair, I think now we have, as a portfolio committee, to go there. This is emergency. We need to arrange with Parliament to go, even if we are in recess, to go and check what is happening now as it is, as this is still fresh.
Honorable Mbata, can you help me in this? The gentleman who was saying yes, got another commitment, said he's going to leave. The decision is whether we allow him to go and continue with the meeting now, or if he leaves. I assume he's the leader of the team from Engen. What are you suggesting? Are you suggesting we allow him to leave? Or we say to him, if you leave, it means you are collapsing the meeting?
Chair, I think he's disrespecting us. This is the priority. It's supposed to be the first priority especially on this incident. He must cancel other meetings and sit in this meeting until we finish. That's very important.
and remain. Okay. Honorable Modise.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Honorable Modise.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Well, I, from an objective point of view, I'm of the assumption that this man who wants to leave should probably be attending a commitment of the similar magnitude. Other than that, I would then agree that is disrespectful. But I'm skeptical of a situation where participants in this meeting would seek clarity, and anybody who is left is unable to respond to questions that are posed because you would have left with answers. That is going to be a problem. So if he commits to us that whoever is remaining is in position to can clarify any question that may arise, I don't see him being an obstacle or being disrespectful if he departs. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, yeah, it's something in between. Can we hear from Engen then, the gentleman who wants to leave? If the people that would be left behind would be competent enough to respond to everything that might be raised.
Chair, yes, they should be able to, but let me try to respond as much as possible. Stay on and see whether members. If you allow me to start actually responding, Chair, and I'll stay on.
No, before you respond, we must listen to this gentleman from Ground, who was the first one to raise the question. Over to you.
Honorable Chair, I think due to time commitments, I think you should give Engen up until tomorrow, 12 o'clock, 24 hours, to deliver a written commitment to the Portfolio Committee and to all members of this meeting, a written response to the questions put forward to them. It will save us time and it will get us something in writing which we can hold him accountable for.
Can't hear
so
you.
that, Honorable Chair, I would suggest, Chair, that Engen is asked to give a written response by 12 o'clock tomorrow to all the questions put to them, rather than them take up time for the next half an hour talking, and therefore cutting the time out where communities could be talking as well. That would be their strategy, is my understanding.
Mr. Chair?
No, we can't allow that. I don't want us to engage on that. We are the ones who convened all of you. So the members have asked questions. They must be responded to. It would be our decision to say later if we want anything in writing. Can we now proceed and allow Engen to respond to questions? Engen?
Yeah, okay, sorry. I'm trying to switch on my video. And I'll try to actually respond to those questions that I've managed to jot down, but I believe that my colleagues, they have been able to jot down some of the clarification and query that has actually been raised. And maybe I just would like to start with basically, Engen is a responsible corporate citizen. We have been in compliance with all the regulatory framework. We have been operating within the agreed limits, and those numbers that I've shared, those actually based on the data they have actually verified, is based on actually measurement of a certain instrument that we have taken. So maybe I'll start with that. And maybe to the first question with respect to the community engagement, we did try to basically engage with the community as requested, I think on Sunday, on previous Sunday. But there were actually some disagreement with respect to some of the members that they would like to be involved. But we have actually subsequently made progress, I think, in terms of agreement that we'll actually be meeting them. Basically, if Shukri, if you can just let me know what is actually the latest agreement that we're going to meet with the community in a day or two, if I'm not mistaken. Shikri, can you verify what's actually the latest?
Yeah, we have feedback to the ward councillor, and we're still awaiting feedback on whether he accepts our proposal. Yes.
Okay. And in terms of the various kind of actually maybe allegation of damage, I think we actually already be on site trying to verify as what we have indicated. We have started the process of verification and assessing those damages. So all basically damages attributable by our incident, they'll be appropriately be addressed to. The other question around the oil spill, so this actually is news to us because as far as I've not received any complaint or any reports of an oil spill. So I would like basically my team, if they have received, to maybe just let me know. But otherwise, I think we'll take the complaint and immediately initiate the investigation. And there were also basically some from one of the committee members about the accidents of certain benzene and I guess aromatic limits. Again, I think as far as our measurement, including our perimeter online monitoring as well as around the municipal, I have really not heard of any incidences that we have actually in breach or exceed the permissible benzene and aromatic level. And in terms of our contribution to communities, we have actually various engagement and contribution to communities. We have in fact a quarterly engagement with, they call it this Engen South Durban Committee Forum. We met with them basically on quarterly basis. They were actually representing the communities around that area. So those actually is, that engagement is actually ongoing on a quarterly basis. Probably maybe due to COVID, during the COVID period, maybe that quarterly has not happened, but prior to COVID, we have had that regular quarterly engagement with this ESCF. Over and above, we have various what do you call CSI kind of activity like math and science, our computer, and so on and so forth, that we have actually contributed to the communities just neighboring to our refinery. And I think there was a question around the 14 days report. Yeah, so that 14 days report, I think will probably maybe be, will have a bit more detail, but I guess maybe further investigation to verify the probable cause would actually be required, because those typically will require a forensic detailed investigation of the fuel component. But to be able to provide maybe with first most probable cause as to the reason for the incident. And definitely, I think to the question whether or not there will be consequence management, of course, there is, if dereliction of duty on any part of our members, staff, there'll be definitely a consequence management. And again, I think I just want to re-emphasize that we will actually never be operated that will actually endanger our staff and the community where we're actually operating within. Again, you know, we have always been operating in a very, very responsible manner, all within whatever the regulatory kind of actually maybe limits. And you know, all this data that we have actually presented, they are actually based on facts and data. As far as my concern, as far as what I know of, sorry, we have not violated incidences where actually maybe there's incidences of a bit of exceedances due to maybe plant upset. Those were actually promptly reported, and these were actually all within the permissible regulatory framework. So I'm not sure whether I have, I think I have covered most, but maybe if I can just invite some of my colleagues, if I've actually missed any of those points that actually has been raised? Anybody?
We want your colleagues must switch on their videos when they speak. Thank you.
How am I sitting? Because
Yes, sir. Khalid here. I would just add that. Sorry, Chair. I'm trying to switch on the video, but the network reception where I am is pretty bad, and the line gets dropped when I switch on my video. So I will try though. It's just that part of the community engagement, we are also appointing an independent community liaison to help manage and the issues with the community and look at all the issues. We have a structured process in place where the community can actually bring all the issues with us, and we will commit to look at every single feedback that we get from the community. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Honorable Chair, there were questions which were raised by Honorable Band regarding the air quality test. He wanted to know who are we sending it to and what were the parameters. We are sending it to Skynet Laboratories, and the parameters that they will be investigating are all the VOCs, volatile organic compounds, as well as the oxides of sulfur and nitrogen. So they have responded. Some of the tests will be done in country, but for those other tests which they don't have the capacity to do, will be sent to an international lab. And then regarding the inspection, Honorable Mbata, the Department of Employment and Labor was here, and they usually are the ones who oversee the implementation of the Occupational Health and Safety Act. And based on what they have given us, they would have brought the relevant specialists that are competent in relation to the issues of industrial hygiene. But besides that, we do our health risk assessment every 2 years, and they are done by an independent accredited authority. And those we do internally, like we're asking in terms of the inspections and the assessments that we do as Engen. So we do those internally, and we are compliant in terms of the requirements of that. And then Honorable Winkler, we have dispatched the team to go and investigate the oil into the beach that you have talked about. So for now, we don't have the details. So we will find out, and then we'll put measures in place to remediate the issue when it's found. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Any? Oh, you are done as Engen. Then can we allow the both the national department where there are issues that might have talked to yourselves, if there are any?
Thanks, Chair. It's Mr. Rapella.
Who is speaking now? Who is disrupting? Oh, you are from the department?
Department of Environment, Fisheries and Forestry and Fisheries. Okay. There were two issues that were raised for the department. The first one is they wanted to know whether Engen did report when the incident occurred. I must say that on the same day in the morning, the department received an alert report from Engen. Hence, they were able to attend to the incident. The alert report, actually, it's compulsory for Engen to report to all relevant authorities. Hence, in our presentation, we indicated that on the 4th, there was a joint operations committee that was formed after the officials from the relevant authorities met at Engen. And the second one was in respect of the provisions in the report which indicates whether there will be measures to avoid the recurrence of the incident. In terms of Section 35 report, which Section 30 subsection 5, which talks to the 14-day report, one of the issues that must be catered for in the report, it's the measures to be taken, and the measures to be taken to avoid a recurrence of such incident. And what is left is for the authorities then to monitor that commitment and those indication in the report that this will be measures that will take in order to make sure that there's no recurrence of the incident. Thanks, Chair.
I assume now the departments are done. The municipality, if there's anything.
No. Good afternoon, honourable members, all protocol observed. Just in regards to the complaints that is dealt with by our sub-district, all complaints were investigated. The 24 of the 27 were resolved, and there were 3 prosecutions amongst those. In regards to the sludge, this was obviously dealt with by eThekwini Water and Sanitation. At the time of the actual incident, there was no issue on the beach, but obviously we became aware of this during the presentation, and we will follow up with the relevant department. In terms of the impact on the community, we did serve notice for a root cause analysis. Discussions with Engen at the stage when we attended the JOC meeting, they were unable to give us details of the total volumes of diesel and other compounds that may have been released. We're not sure at this stage whether it was only diesel. Otherwise, there could have been other petroleum compounds amongst that. We need to understand the total quantities and to determine the emissions released in terms of that particular incident. The root cause analysis will inform the dispersion modeling that will need to be conducted, and atmospheric impact report taking into account the meteorological conditions on the day, southwesterly wind, where was the impact downwind. The thermal lift with the heat from the fire lifted the black smoke to just above the level of the bluff, and then it went in a northerly direction carried by the southwesterly wind. But we need to understand the actual concentrations in the community, possible worst affected areas, because obviously you can't have monitoring stations everywhere. We've also asked for a toxicological assessment to be conducted in terms of Engen employees and any affected communities as well. So these 3 specialist studies have to work together: the root cause analysis, atmospheric impact report, and toxicological assessment to determine impact on the environment, workers, employees, and also the community. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Any other person who still owes us an answer, or are we done with the responses?
None of my questions responded to, Chair. None
of your questions have been answered. Let's hear. I can see somebody.
Yes, Honorable Chair. I think there were just 2 issues, I think, that are outstanding that were raised with us as a province. Firstly is the issue of the role of eThekwini. I know that the member of the community indicated that they don't of eThekwini being part of social dialogues. It is a decision that has been taken by the leadership of the province in terms of Operation Sugumasake within the confines of intergovernmental relations, that the city of eThekwini will have to play a lead, because Engen is within their jurisdiction. So that's going to happen. Of course, they'll be working together with us. And I think I need to also add that we do have political and administrative champions in each and every district that are playing a role in areas of their jurisdiction. The city of eThekwini will be part in ensuring that there is stability, there is peace, and there is engagement. That's a decision, and that's the commitment that we're making. With regard to the meetings, because we did indicate in our presentation that there will be public meeting. That decision was taken last week when there was engagement, and our MEC was part of the discussion. That meeting was meant to take place yesterday. Of course, we duly advised that the meeting did take place, but it was adjourned because of some of the challenges that happened. We advised that Engen has got an interdict against the two CLOs, and the community wanted the CLOs to be part of the meeting. As a result of the disagreements, that meeting could not take place. It was going to be a virtual meeting for Engen to account. Of course, we're going to participate as an observer because we didn't want to influence the process, but wanted the Engen to make sure that they contribute towards the discussion and so that we all work together. With regard to the numerous incidents that have taken place, I think we that the last incident that took place was in 2012, and we had issued a directive in 2013, and Engen had complied. Now, as to whether all those incidents is cumulatively, whether they would have led to what has just happened now, we cannot make that decision, that conclusive decision. We will be informed by a report that will be given to us, because that's why we are saying the report that will be given to us, it will be subjected to a peer review so that it is independent report and impartial report, and it's accurate. On the basis of that, we'll be able to make sure that we act accordingly. As the chair would know, this area is highly regulated, so that we follow the law to the letter and ensure that proper measures are taken. So there were corrective measures. In fact, in fact, the meeting, sorry, if I were to go back in terms of the meeting was on the 6th of December. This is the meeting that I was talking about. But in terms of Chair, lastly, because I'm sitting with the colleagues also, who are also advising on some of the issues. With regard to the issue of the impact of pollution on the communities, one of the key decisions that we have taken is that as a province engaging with Department of Health, we will ensure that a health impact study is undertaken just to make an assessment, because it is important to draw a correlation between pollution that has taken place and the diseases that are affecting the people on the ground, because for any claim that is made, it must be proven that there's that correlation. But as a province, we have resolved that we will engage on that particular issue. It is part and parcel of our that we've made, that moving forward, that's what we're going to be doing. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you.
Chairperson?
Honorable members. Okay. Can we hear? Yes.
Smooth from Fire at eThekwini Municipality.
Okay. No,
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Continue.
Just two issues that were raised, which I may comment on, Mr. Chair. One was speaking to the root cause of fire at Engen. In terms of the root cause, We haven't established the cause at this stage. We understand that the area concerned has been cordoned off by the Department of Labor, and we have a work in progress in that regard. As far as the pollution issue, which I have mentioned, Mr. Chair, my comment were basically at the time of the incident management, the situation we were faced with was that of the water usage for firefighting. We had to issue an instruction and eventually an understanding with Engen that it will be contained within Engen. The second point, as far as the air pollution is concerned, the comment was basically steering towards the air movement at the time was not significant in the point of us having to evacuate the areas which were adjacent to the site. So my comments around the pollution were centered around that. Obviously, all of this is subject to investigation, which is currently underway. We also had noted due to the explosion that occurred at the beginning of the fire, there were communities which were affected, and that also the impact and the severity thereof is under investigation. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other person who wants to speak before I go back to members? Yeah. Follow-ups?
Yes, Chairperson, Honorable Winkler. I have put two follow-ups on the chat. I just want to know.
And then I'll go to members. If there's any, Honorable Winkler.
Can you hear me, Chairperson?
I can hear you.
All right. So
Yes,
I
can.
Thank you. My connection's a bit unstable today. I've put two follow-up questions on the chat. It's to ask whether or not residents will be compensated for furniture, food, and other appliance items that were destroyed during the incident for the new decantation unit by Engen, and when that will happen. Because their stay at the guest house ends today, so they have to move in by tomorrow. So when will they receive that compensation? And then the other is the environmental remediation in the wake of previous incidents. Can Engen tell us what environmental remediation they undertook? Because they spoke about community initiatives, but how have they mitigated those environmental impacts and degradation that was as a cause of incidents at their plant? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other member? Okay, that's the last question then. Can we get a response? You see, when we were informed that the Provincial department is the lead department, then interactions with communities is eThekwini Metro. Any one of the two can respond to this one of compensation. Or Engen.
Thank you, Chair. First, I just would like to reiterate my apology. It was actually not meant for disrespectful. I'm not able to switch on my video to, I don't know, for whatever technical reason that I have. So just to respond to that, maybe the first question and maybe the second question, I would like maybe Shirley or maybe Shikri just to respond to that question. So to the first response, as what we have indicated, I think we are already in the process of actually verifying and assessing the claim. And should there be, and we'll actually take appropriate action based on the verification and assessment itself. Just to mention as well, we have actually proactively provided what you call residents, so at least about 6 community families, due to claim that they have actually been affected by the fire itself. So we have taken that proactive measure on goodwill basis, just to emphasize that the care for we have into the community. So in terms of claims and whatnot, I think we'll have to go through that verification assessment, and should I think they have been impacted as a direct results of that incident, I think we'll address that accordingly. So to the second question, Shirley or Shikri, in terms of the various initiatives that we have done, we have put various equipment to continuously actually drive down the emission, and we have actually always become in compliance with the emission limits and the discharge limit. Can either Shikri or Shirley respond to that?
I'll take that, Yusuf. Thank you, Honorable Member. So with regard to the previous incidents, the main incident where we had the groundwater soil contamination was the tank X104 incident. And immediately after that incident, the soil that was contaminated was taken to the relevant landfill. And since then, we are doing continuous monitoring. And at this point, it has demonstrated that that particular area is in good shape, and there's no visible contamination. But we continue monitoring throughout our entire facilities. We have monitoring boreholes that our environment team keeps on checking to ensure that there is compliance, and none of, if there would have been anything, that it doesn't move outside the facility. Regarding the air quality impact of some of the incidents, after every incident, together with the guidance of the authorities, we usually engage an independent health risk assessment consultant to look at the impact of the incident on the community. And based on the findings of those investigations, we then put measures in place. But like indicated, the previous incident, we did that, and it indicated that the impact on the community was not, it was not above the standards. So we keep on putting processes in place to ensure we comply and we go beyond compliance. In our regular meetings with authorities, we present to them our initiatives and what we are doing so that we can continue and go beyond compliance. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable Chair, I think we have responded to those 2 questions.
Chairperson? Sorry, colleagues, I think we lost him. Let me call him and find out what is happening.
Maybe in the interest of time, we should proceed, colleagues.
Okay, which is tonight?
Sulega.
Mr. Mutisa, sorry, I was talking to Chair. Yes.
Is he back?
Yes.
I'm back now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. I am was going to ground work now. Groundwork.
Okay, so I assume I'm on. I can't hear the chairperson anymore. I must say that firstly I want to know, can everybody hear me?
Yeah, Bobby.
Yes, we can hear you.
We can't see you.
Yeah,
Can hear you,
but
Bobby.
as long as you can hear me. 1988, a couple of months before my mother died, Engen exploded.
Now we can see you now.
Okay. In 1988, Honorable Deputy Minister and all other protocols observed, my mother, who was 2 months or a couple of months away from her deathbed, was laying bedridden. The refinery exploded. My dad and I, he was then 49 and I was 22. My dad and I had to carry my mother into a vehicle and drive into the city center because we did not know what was going to happen to Engen next. Engen has exploded since the day it has started. Engen has come into the valley. It has destroyed us. It has taken away our dignity. It has offered our brothers and sisters work that has killed us. Whether it was an American company, whether it was an apartheid company, or whether it was a Malaysian company, Engen is here to take and then leave us with the toxic legacy that we will be left with and which they admitted to a couple of months ago. They are getting out, they are leaving, and they're going to leave us with a toxic time bomb. This is not a problem of Engen only. Let's be very clear about this, members of parliament. Who knows Mpilo Sibia? Can anybody recognize the name Mpilo Sibia? He died at the oil refinery with his colleague, a young, bright engineer, in June, July of this year, when the Caltex refinery, now it's owned by a South African consortium, exploded and killed 2 of the young, bright, black, upcoming engineers. The oil refinery industry in this country is crumbling. We know that we have to move away from fossil fuels. The Honorable President Cyril Ramaphosa, our president, has said that very clearly, that it is time for a just transition. It is time to recognize that we have to move forward. And when we move forward, we cannot leave any African behind. But that's what Engen is going to do. It's going to move forward, it's going to leave the valley, and it's going to leave us with an unjust future. So the first thing is to recognize that all we are asking, honorable members of parliament, is to get what the president has promised us, a just transition away from Engen. That is really critical. But we cannot do this if we don't have an open democracy. And an open democracy, comrades, parliamentarians, is not when Engen tells the community in South Durban who can come and talk to them. This they have always done from day one. I just want to quote from a document written in 1995. One problem stemmed from the companies choosing to select individuals from the community rather than inviting civic organizations to send representatives. And the second thing is that Engen questioned the bona fides of the community members that were at the table. What is also critical to understand is that in 1995 to 2002, 2003, we as community people could get documents, any documents we wanted to, from Engen and from government. And we got that because we closed the gates and we protested, and we were in the honeymoon of our democracy. Now Engen won't give us the scheduled trade permit. The city mayor won't allow it. He will hide it. He will not allow us to have the scheduled trade permit. And that is undemocratic. We have to reverse that trend. Because if we don't have democracy, we're not going to have a just transition, and Engen will leave us. And the legacy of the many, many Engen accidents will continue until they close down. And my understanding of the problem is that Engen did not maintain their operations because they're going to sell. Honorable Chair, will you service your car if you're going to sell it to me next month? Honestly, are you? You're not going to service your car. So why must Engen service their oil refinery if they're going to get rid of it in 2 years' time? So that is the reality. And finally, I just want to say that it is about reparations. It is about going back to Stanvac, to Pegasus Oil Company, to Mobil, to Gencor, and all the financial institutions that have been involved in propping up Engen and getting reparations for the community of South Durban. You cannot, as Parliament, allow for 250 to 300 million rand or billion rand bailout of Engen. I think it's million rand. That money should be invested in South Durban for a just transition. And that is critical. And that's the decision you have to make today. A decision about open democracy, a decision about calling for reparations, and a decision about a just transition. And then finally, let us just remember that last night, the community members put down 2,000 rand to assist the families. This morning, we put down another 4,500 rand to assist the families. What are you putting down as Engen and as the parliamentarians to make sure that the families have a Christmas and not suffer the consequences of Engen's mishaps? So those are the three things. Let us remember an open democracy, a just transition, and reparation starting now, not in 10 years' time. Thank you. I would like to just ask Rico, who is our environmental epidemiologist, to be able to ask or to suggest or to give some more technical input about what has gone on in that valley.
We want him to do it now?
Yes, Comrade Chair. He is
Okay.
he's our technical
Yes,
advisor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. With your permission, honourable members, all protocols observed. We have heard from the various city officials and others about technical issues like air quality monitoring and whether or not there were exceedances of air quality standards. Now, we as a community, working with the South Durban Environmental Community Alliance, have been demanding that online, this means real-time benzene and particulate matter air sampling be undertaken and that information be disclosed to the communities. When the multi-point plan was established in the early 2000s, the information on air quality monitoring was available, it was online, and in that respect, community people and also the authorities could act on exceedances and concerns. And at the time, there were plans to establish a cancer registry to address community concerns and the real and lived experience of communities experiencing many cancers in the South Durban Basin around the refineries. But all of that, it systematically deteriorated. It was almost as if there was willful neglect. The air quality monitoring stations by 2007 were offline. They weren't reporting to the South African National Air Quality Information Service. The monitoring stations were left to go into disrepair. That information is no longer publicly available. It's no longer available in real time. These are big concerns. When the authorities reported the air quality monitoring on the day of the fire, they indicated that there was a strong wind blowing, a southwesterly wind blowing, and that there was thermal uplift. In this respect, you can almost say that an act of God and the meteorology is what was in favor of the community not being affected. But the next time this happens, if it happens in winter, when the conditions are very still in Durban and there isn't so much turbulence, what will then happen? So we need to put in place the means and the measures so that we have a real-time and continuous understanding of what the air quality is doing in South Durban. We know that in summer that there's very little air pollution because the wind is blowing. Like today, the wind is blowing at a gust, and that's dispersing the pollution. But we don't have a real sense of the pollution in Durban because the monitors are not measuring for the right parameters. We need to be measuring for benzene online. We need to be measuring for particulate matter, the small particulate matter that causes the most important health effects. And that information needs to be available to the community people. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Now we'll go back to the gentleman who spoke earlier when he was asking questions, just to conclude on the issues that he raised.
Thank you very much, Chair. That's correct. Thank you very much, Chair. If I may be allowed to have the presentation to present, please.
Yes, no, I'm allowing you to do that.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair. All protocol observed. Greetings, everyone. Chair, on the 4th of December, a tremor was experienced by communities in South Durban. Okay, sorry, Chair. So, Chair, all right, sorry. I'm trying to get my presentation up and running. I'm not sure if everyone can see it. Chair, can you see my presentation?
Not yet, no.
Can I be given the right to share? I mean to host. The host can please give me the permission, please.
You are the co-host,
Sure.
Bongani.
The co-host.
I did give you the right.
Okay. I'm trying to share now. Sorry, not this. I'm trying to get it up, please. I don't know why it's not, huh? Zoom. 1 minute, Chair. Share screen. Should I press that?
Chair, as we sit and talk, there is a chemical factory that is burning in Pinetown in Durban.
Okay,
just
thanks,
another one of these incidents that are happening so often.
Thank you very much, Chair. I've been assisted by my colleague. I was having problems. All protocol observed. Chair, one of the honorable parliamentarians have spoken about youngsters that came to present in November 2019. Chair, I was one of those youngsters and my colleague. So I presented. So basically today what I'm going to be sharing, it's a similar but updated presentation. Chair, my name is Bongani Mthembu from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance. I'm the Air Quality and GIS officer in the organization. I've worked in the organization for 13 years. So the information that I'm going to be sharing is not information that I will be thumb-sucking. Chair, there have been a number of different incidents around the South Durban area. More than 62 major incidents in the South Durban area since 2000, averaging over 3 major incidents per year. No emergency plan for the South Durban community. That is one of the biggest problems. And incidents outline a brief selection of numerous industrial pollution incidents that occurred in the area daily. And South Durban area is highly hazardous and lacking an emergency response plan. Chair, we'll just go through with other, include other industries such as, for example, SAPREF, because we're trying to compare apples with apples. This is an incident that happened at SAPREF in 21st April 2014. It affected a lot of communities. Engen Refinery 16 April 2006. So the
Hey, Bongani, we lost you.
Sorry, Chairperson, we can't hear anything.
Sorry, Chair, I'm not sure if everyone can hear me. Okay, my apologies. My internet is not stable on my side. But basically, I'm saying, Chair, the pictures that I'm showing there is basically pictures of incidents and accidents that has happened over the past years. And I believe that the previous presenters have presented, but without actually showing the pictures, because I think the pictures tell a story. Engen Refinery in 11 October 2006. As you can see, the black plume that affected the whole.
Sorry, you're breaking up again.
I can't hear you.
I'm trying to get back on in.
Chairperson, I think with respect, Chairperson, I think the challenge is with the slideshow and the speaking at the same time. I don't think the connection is able to handle that on his side.
Okay, I think thanks very much, honorable members. It was my let me just log off. It was my internet is not allowing me to present. But Chair, Honorable Chair, and the Honorable members. So basically, this is the Engen Refinery 11 October 2006 incidents, as everyone can see. And I will continue. I'm not sure why I'm unable. No, there's. Hey, I'm having problems there, Shirley.
That's a shower.
No, I was just comparing.
Chairperson?
Yes, can you go in?
Yeah.
Go in.
Since members has the presentation, can't we allow him to present without projecting the slides?
If he is badly.
Yeah, and then I can send the presentation to the other participants.
Well, if he agrees, it's actually him who has got this opportunity now to present.
Yeah.
Chair.
Okay.
Yeah, I do agree. Probably can I allow Des to go in and then I'll come after him. Just I'll be sorting myself out. Can I allow Des to go in and then I'll be sorting myself out and then I'll come after him.
You must come in. Okay.
Des, you can go in.
Okay, thank you, Chair and honorable members. We must apologize, but this is technology. It will always have a problem. I need to just say that we really respect the portfolio committee, because I think we've been presenting to the portfolio committee over the years, and you've given us a voice. And for that, we must thank you for that. And you've listened to members of the public coming through and presenting real evidence against the petrochemical refineries and so on. That has helped us, Chair, because it tells us that we are equal before the law, all of us, but more importantly, our government, our parliament respects the input of each and every one of us. This incident, Chair, that happened on Friday, I was out there at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was angry, and I saw the trauma. I saw people running out of their homes. Thousands of people, Chair, they were on Tara Road. Thousands of people were in their communities on the roads. They weren't in their homes because their homes were shaken. It was like a bomb that dropped down on us. It was massive. Everybody from radius of over 10, 12 kilometers, 15 kilometers could hear that bomb going off at Engen. And when that happened, Chair, even the car windows were shattering that were driving past on Tara Road. There's hundreds of homes that have structural damage, that have had their windows damaged, and there's people that are psychologically that ran out their homes, that were preparing to go to school, going to work, that have been traumatized, Chair. That government hasn't come and sorted out. Government hasn't come near those people. None of us. And I'm appealing to Parliament today. And the reason I'm so passionate, because people have been affected, and none of the presentations here speak to that. Traumatized, we're all traumatized. They should have been pointed, they should have ensured that over the weekend we had a proper medical facility set up. We've got clinics that were closed on the weekend. Government should have came in and opened them up and made sure our people got the counseling, got the treatment. We got a child that's been highly severely burnt. She ended up in hospital. Engen never went near the family, neither did government. Not one government official has gone anywhere near those children, the granny that were burnt. And to say that it's an act of God, God would never burn human beings like us. God would protect us. And I think that's the problem. People have been traumatized. What intervention and assessments are planned? Nothing. We've heard nothing come through today. The physical impacts, the blast overpressure on community. That was huge, Chair. People are trying to make it look like it was small. That was the biggest blast we've heard in years. And remember this year, Chair, even during COVID, when they were allowed to reopen, they blew up. The Engen refinery affected the community. We've heard the city officials saying that they prosecuted it. But where's all that prosecution? It's lying on the desk of the legal department in Durban and nothing more, Chair. Why? The damage, they're not answering their phones, Chair. None of them up on Engen side. When people are reporting and calling that hotline, that call line, the phones are off. Nobody's responding to all the calls. People are coming here to us as the NGOs to look after and deal with this problem. And they don't want to meet with us because they want to determine who they can meet to. They want to isolate our people. And yet the damage is happening to our communities. Our community has been infected. What I'm suggesting, we need the portfolio committee to come down here and we'll take you around and show you the damage so that you see for yourself the lies and the deceit and the dishonesty being displayed here and presented here today. The materials ejected that was emitted out of it. Let me tell you, they don't have monitoring stations on that side of the bluff in Treasure Beach and other side. So the monitoring stations did not capture. If you look at the weather, the data from the weather station, that will tell you that they're not being honest with the truth. And Alabama Road, where the flats were damaged and all that, there's no monitoring station there at all, not in that area. These monitoring stations on the other side, and that would have picked it up. But now they play down the issue to say, look, there's no pollution, people weren't affected. They are dishonest because they know that there is no monitoring stations in Treasure Beach, in Alabama, in Weiss Road, Croton Road, as well as on the bluff side, on that vector where people are affected. They did not have that. And even the city is not being honest here. People are affected. People who are breathing, were struggling to breathe, nausea. At a time of COVID, people just had to close windows and doors. We are talking about no safety zone, no plan, no emergency plan. How many years are we going about this, Chair? Why isn't our government really listening to the people? We've had over 30 big explosions and fires coming out of this refinery. And people are saying, oh, there's only 3 or 4 explosions. Let me tell you, look at the evidence. The evidence far outweighs what Engen presented today. We've had 30 explosions and fires that have huge impact. This unit that has blown up on Friday, it's a unit that blew up 5 times already, Chair. They're inconvenient with the truth. They should have said, this is what has happened. Maybe before their time, during the other management, but it happened in the same unit. So how many times must that unit blow up? Must it kill thousands of people before we see action? The provincial government has not been honest yet, Chair, and the council in relating the facts on the table and presenting it. They haven't come. Imagine presenting something, but the community, 120,000 people, are not even considered or even spoken about. Why is it? Why is it that we are not relevant in this issue that impacts the school across the road? And I'm happy that the principal's on this call. The school across the road, the hall is damaged. The windows are damaged. The school across the other side, Settlers Primary School, the children were traumatized. So the kids are all traumatized, but there's nothing being spoken about that. There's nothing being spoken about the school that's been damaged. And Chair, it's my reason that to bring it across to you that they have not presented the facts of here. They have not even had the decency to go across the road where the school is, Settlers Primary and Prevailing High School, to go and apologize to the principal and his staff and the teachers. That's decency. That's engaging with people, Chair. And they don't do it. And the government officials that come, how is it that they went to Engen, but right across the road where the damage has taken place, where teachers have been affected, nobody goes there. Nobody goes there. So people are on their own. They're going to go to doctors. They're going to use their last money to get medical attention. And I don't think that's fair, Chair. I don't think that's fair. I think that we highly rate you as a portfolio committee. The only reason we came to the portfolio committee because everything else, the doors were shut. There's our government shutting the doors, not talking to none of us, don't care a damn about us. How are we going to be? Must we all die before the government really acts? And that's why I think this meeting is so critical and so important, Chair. I think you need to, as the Chair and the Portfolio Committee, take ownership and give directions and serve them with notices that they must comply with. I think we will trust you more than anybody else. I think our community, schools, NGOs, doctors, medical fraternities, taxis, every single person in our community has been affected. Yet Engen wants to tell us who they will talk to. And our children, the child was here and I showed her I made sure that you captured her photo in my office, her and her father. You know what? It's a sad affair that they got to beg. They've been affected, but they got to beg the Engen refinery to go and pay for medical bills, to go and sort out there's no food. These people are left homeless. Their clothing's all damaged. Their furniture's all damaged. The food that they bought their groceries on is all damaged. So where do they go to? What home do they go to, Chair? Why isn't our government leading by example and ensuring that these people, that Engen takes responsibility? Today we heard Engen is denying everything. Everything is all right. Nobody has been affected, but Chair, people have been affected in a bad way. Not only with their injuries, but also their homes are all damaged. The people's food has been damaged. Their furniture has been damaged. Their curtains have been damaged. Who's going to take care of it? Engen will get away with a Chair if the National Portfolio Committee.
Can you conclude now? Can you conclude, please?
Yeah. We need the National Portfolio Committee to ensure that this thing doesn't end today. That this process must ensure that there's more dialogue, that there's a clear process, that Parliament is involved, that all governmenters and we as a community, as stakeholders, must be part of it. You cannot go and investigate yourself, Chair. So we want to ensure that
thank you very much.
Chair, it must include the community people, the stakeholders around the table. We can bring our technical experts to go there and to assess the refinery. We can't allow them to go on their own because it'll be a job that's just ticking the boxes. The other thing, Chair, before I leave, because Bongani wants to come in, to say that we trust the portfolio committee We've been working with you all for quite some time. We know that you've listened to all the cries of the community. We know members of the parliament have listened to the cries of the community. Now we need some action, Chief. It can't be that you're going to hear us all the time. So we are appealing to you. Please don't let our cries, our tears.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Ben.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much. Now I think we have exceeded our time. We said the meeting would end at 13 hours, and we are now beyond that time. Is that gentleman ready now, Mr. Mtem?
Yes, that's correct.
And then must take note now that we have gone beyond our time, the allocated time. So as much as is possible, let's summarize. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Chair. So, Chair, I will just go through to this slide that I was speaking about, 11 October 2006. And then I will move to this incident, Chair. This incident, Chair, it was reported by the previous speakers. And I would like to even mention this, Chair, that unfortunately, this incident was one of the incidents where communities of South Durban actually felt trauma up till today without being informed by an emergency evacuation plan to say what they need to do in a case of such incidents. So this was another incident in 2011 October as well, Chair. And Chair, I would like to just speak about this map. It's a Google map. Chair, as you can see where I'm pointing, that's Engen Refinery. There's a number of pipelines running through Tara Road. That road is going to the biggest storage facility in the Southern Hemisphere called the Island View Storage Facility. And it's passing through people's homes. Chair, so some of these pipelines are from SAPREF and some are from Engen. Chair, and there's a school right here, Favor Secondary School, just across the road. Chair, in this incident, when this happened, it was a Friday. It was a normal day for school. And previously, communities of Merebank and Wentworth, they were informed to say, in a case of an emergency, they need to run to the safe haven, this area here. It was called the Clearwood Racecourse. Today, as we speak, Chair, that place has been privatized. It has been sold. So that means in a case of an explosion or an emergency, now the communities precisely of Merebank, Merewent, and Wentworth, they do not have a safe haven to run to. And even that as well, sir, Chair, there was no procedures in place by the city, especially city disaster management, to say, in such cases, how will people be transported to a safe haven? There was no such information to actually inform the community. So as you can see, Chair, the refinery is surrounded by communities, by people that felt the tremor on Friday, the 4th of December. And yet Engen to date has not done a proper investigation to ensure how many people have lost their properties, how many people have lost their belongings. So this, it's a clear indication, Chair, that this refinery is on its last, it's rotten to the core, it needs to go, it needs to shut. We cannot continue having to understand all the trauma that Engen is causing, impacting on communities, because this has just been going on for years. And Engen is one refinery, Chair, that always it's either it's a gas gassing the community, especially on this road that I'm pointing here on Baldura Road, Chair. This area where my mouse is, that is one of the hotspot areas where even now, depending on wind direction, but in most cases, that area, you will always find high level of toxin smell emanating from the same plant, Engen. And unfortunately, our city, when they presented, I failed to understand them really what they were presenting, because really to us, they did not do justice in terms of ensuring that this industry is held accountable. We have air quality monitoring stations in the city of eThekwini, but they are not in a sterling condition. And that poses questions to us if they are really fully functional or they have been left to be dismantled, by the authorities. Chair, that's the fire. For sure, you have seen the pictures. They're all over the news and social media. Chair, this picture I'm sharing is one of the flats that different family members occupy in Wentworth. That's the flats that blew up because of the incident that happened at Engen. On that day, as you can see, the communities, families are standing outside. And on this day, it was drizzling, it was raining. And I would also like to share, Chair, this little child that has suffered from burns in her body, on her face, her hands, and also her body. This is a girl child. She will have to suffer with the stigma of not being a normal child as she was before the incident. And as we all know, Chair, that's it. Children, especially girl children, it traumatizes them not to be like other kids. So it's going to be a problem for her to interact with her peers, go to school, because she's no more the person that they knew. And it's a pity, and it's also a reality that such incidents like this here ends up causing children to end up, committing suicide because of depression. This is the same girl. Amongst many other, this has also been impacted by this explosion at Engen Refinery. I won't dwell on this one, Chair, because my colleague Rico has mentioned this here. These are the different samples that SETI as an organization that we have undertaken, especially around the Engen Refinery. There's a reason why I put these slides, because they speak about the refinery in question. As you can see here, sir, Comrade Chair, this, we take samples. I personally take samples, air samples, and then we ship it to a reputable lab in Pretoria, and they will analyze it and they will give us the results within a couple of weeks, about 3 to 4 weeks max. And then we are able to understand the data, and then after that, we share that information with the public as we are an NPO body. So these are some of the problematic compounds like benzene. As we all know, benzene is a carcinogen. And a number of pollutants such as the VOCs, volatile organic compounds. VOCs, it's a host of different chemicals, and benzene also forms part of the VOC family. Chair, I'm running through now my slide because of time. These are challenges that communities of Merebank went through in particular, because they are living alongside this industry. And also we need to consider, Chair, that Engen it's situated in a residential area. It's not in an industrial zone. So I think that needs to be clear to Engen and everyone present here today, that Engen is not situated in an industrial area. So this alone speaks to the many challenges, health impact that the refinery is causing to the communities. Children gassed by factories. No stakeholder forum for monitoring air pollution in South Durban, Chair. This used to exist, but now it's no more existing. Chemical reduction plan, industries, none. We are sidelined on incident investigation inquiries, Chair, like the current situation that we're speaking about. No feedback to the communities from officials. This is lacking. eThekwini Mayor, numerous letters that we have written to him, probably the 3 previous mayors, they have never acknowledged our letters because we always wanted to echo the challenges that we face in South Durban in regards with chemical and petrochemical industries situated in the South Durban Basin. Provincial level, inaccessible to a certain extent. Permits, no access to scheduled trade permits, Chair. The South African Constitution, Section 24A, that guarantees everyone has a right to a clean environment that is not harmful to their health and well-being. Chair, if communities of Merebank or Wentworth, I'll always refer to just mainly these 2 communities. I know there's a number of communities that are impacted on such incidents, like your Bluff, Claywood, Umlazi, Sipingo, depending on wind direction. This section on its own, if the communities were to go to challenge any industry, it would be a fruitless exercise because it's good in black and white, but really, to come to think of it, if really communities were to challenge industries just on this act, Chair, we do not have the capacity. You know, Section 41, principles of cooperative governance in intergovernmental relations. All spheres of government and all organs of state will, within each sphere, must secure the well-being of people of the Republic. Unfortunately, even this section, Chair, we don't see it really being respected or being practiced by our officials. Withholding information, Section 32, access to information. Any information held by the state, we should be having access to such information. But we cannot access information because industries such as Engen, they are low to themselves and they are not willing to engage with us as public representatives because they feel they are not responsible, or they are not responsible to give us answers that we need on behalf of the communities, of which is totally unacceptable. Chair, it becomes a problem that, unfortunately, such incidents continue to happen. Will continue to happen, but Engen as a refinery, they have not adhered to the legislations and laws and bylaws of this country. And this continues to happen because our city has allowed it. Our city has allowed it, and they are not playing a proactive role to ensure that such industries, they are held accountable. And this becomes a problem, Chair. This becomes a problem. Chair, I would like to hand over to Professor Rajan Naidu to just close. Thank you very much, Chair.
Chair, with your permission, this is Rajan Naidu, professor from University of KwaZulu-Natal. With your permission, I'd like to make a few words.
Chairperson? Chair? Mr. Naidu, I think we lost him. Can you just summarize quickly? Chair?
Who is going to summarize now?
Mr. Naidu.
Oh, okay. Let's hear you.
Apologies, Chair. I wasn't going to summarize, but I was basically going to make some technical inputs regarding the references to the standards and the fact that pollution monitoring detected that standards were not exceeded. I think it's very important for members to know that the standards, it's the South African standards as well as other standards that we use as benchmarks are not necessarily health-based standards. The South African standards are not in keeping with the current World Health Organization standards, nor are they in keeping with the standards that are about to be proposed by the World Health Organization. There's at least double these. And I think it's important to note that both the representatives from government as well as from Engen constantly made reference to the fact that the pollutant levels were measured below these standards. It's one thing to say you've met a legal standard, it's another to say that you've protected the health of people by keeping your levels low. We do not know the true effects of exceedances at any particular point in time. So it's very important to understand that we don't know the true health effects of these of the explosion amongst the community. It is also not valid to base our responses on the number of complaints that you may receive at any point in time, because most of people in this community are so used to having no responses that they don't even bother to report health problems. I think it's also important to know that Engen were at pains to report the sulfur dioxide levels to us, but we need to know that the sulfur dioxide is not the key pollutant of interest here. The polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, as well as the particulate matter of key concern. These have not been reported, and we have no evidence of the standards that were being used in these. So I think for all of these points, we need to be wary of the so-called scientific standards that are being put forward in these investigations. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks very much, Chair. Chair, there is a Professor Patrick Bond that also sent through his presentation. So he's coming in now. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Bond. If it's permissible quickly to run through one other argument, Chair Klasa and honorable members. That argument would be about something that just came up briefly, but I think is the most critical of all over the very long term, and that is another emissions that is irresponsibly coming from this refinery, and that is the hydrocarbons, especially CO2 and methane. And these, unfortunately, are too often neglected. I tend to be a specialist in the climate justice field, and I've written 4 books I'd be happy to share with you. But I also have a personal stake, because when I taught at UKZN, I drove by that quality road entrance to the highway, therefore crossing right next to the Engen refinery day after day. Shocking how many times I could see the flaring, which was essentially a sign of the extreme levels of methane. And what I'd like to just present to you is something I feel perhaps the committee could do much more to consider. That is the methane, both from flaring, the leakage, and then the CO2 emissions that come from oil and gas. I note, for example, in your last meeting, the climate catastrophe wasn't mentioned when oil and gas was presented by government officials. And Engen's role in the climate catastrophe is substantial. And I think, like the other presenters from civil society, Groundwork and the South Urban Community Environmental Alliance, I would very strongly endorse the idea that a climate debt, a reparations, is owed by Engen to the community to detox, but also to decarbonize. We've seen what happened on Friday, but again and again, and the most embarrassing perhaps would have been on October the 10th of 2011, because when another fire broke out, it was one that hospitalized 100 students next door at the Settlers Primary School as Engen's oil splattered on their skin, and they were absolutely traumatized. This happens again and again. But the critical thing then as well, not just the trauma to the kids, to the health and safety, was that this was just 6 weeks before a major event. Do you remember Christiana Figueres, the head of the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and our foreign minister at the time, Maite Nkwana Mashabane? They hosted, just 6 weeks after that, the UNFCCC COP17 in Durban. And yet, again and again, it seems that the government has gone climate blind. They'd be more comfortable, working under Donald Trump, climate denialists, because you look at what they're monitoring. I see carbon monoxide, lead, nitrogen dioxide. I see particulate matter and sulfur dioxide. But I would ask the colleagues from the government, people that we pay taxes to, are you not watching what's happening with the crisis causality from CO2 and methane? If you put these together as CO2 equivalents, we often say that we have a big problem because we're the 11th highest per capita emitter in the world, about 9 tons per person. Now, it's obviously by race and by class extremely biased as to who's doing the emitting. People like myself are doing far more. But when you then say, well, how is our economy carbon addicted? It turns out there's only 2 other countries with higher emissions per person per unit of output, and that's Kazakhstan and the Czech Republic. We're the 3rd highest in the world among the countries with 10 million. We're not just villains, but victims. And in South Durban, this is the Umshtatazani River, a rain bomb hit just a year and a half ago. The high publicity went to the rich on the coast. This is Amanzimtoti, and President Ramaphosa did come by and say, well, this is what climate change looks like. It hits when we least expect it. It hit all over South Durban. It hit all over the South Coast, leaving 71 people, mostly Black and women, dead as the houses collapsed on them, as the rivers swelled up and pulled people in, right? And there was a climate debt. And at the time, President Ramaphosa did acknowledge this. He said, look, we have a treasury, we have emergency situations. Resources will be mobilized in the biggest way. But the resources weren't enough. The city said, look, we need about 680 million rand just for all of those houses that went down, much less the priceless lives of 71 people. And how much was ultimately provided? Only 90 million, right? The climate chaos didn't teach eThekwini. They're not looking at climate, right? Durban has a fabled adaptation and resilience reputation, but it was absolutely found wanting. So who should pay the climate debt? And I put it to you that those who polluted. And that includes a climate victim in this case. You can see underwater because it's in the stormwater drainage sites. And we now also have a brand new study published in June, not written by any kind of environmentalist, but by industry-associated analysts of CO2 and methane emissions from oil refining industry. So I would like to enter this into the record so that your deliberations are more informed by latest science. As you know, the IPCC, the UN's climate group of Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, continually reassesses and finds that its earlier estimates were conservative. I think that's the problem, because the oil refinery emissions are much more substantial. I think they're going to be in the 70 tons of kilograms of carbon per barrel of oil. And when you think that this is the 2nd biggest refinery, the Engen one, in this country, at about 120,000 barrels a year, my back of envelope analysis is that this is 2.5 megatons a year. That's 2.5 times what Engen itself estimates in its last annual report at 1.05. And that doesn't even include the end users, the people like myself who use petrol. Now, the entire emissions of South Africa for CO2 and methane, the CO2 equivalents, was 450. So we're looking about 0.5% from just this one refinery. If you go through, we don't have time to do this in detail, the oil refining industry must be decarbonized. We must get off these fossil fuels, as Bobby Peake put it. And the refinery in Wentworth should be the first to be closed because it's exploding all the time. It was built in 1966. It's extremely inefficient. That should be done. And what should also be done is reparations from this company. Now, there is a carbon tax in this country. As you know, it's just 43 cents a ton. Sweden's is $132 a ton. The people in Treasury who allowed this through really are not committed, right? That's fairly obvious. So even if you take that, that's 15 million a year. We obviously need to get much more of the profits taken from Engen over the years and turn them into a full reparations for South Durban and a detox, right, and a decarbonization. So we no longer have that part of our carbon emissions. There is a fear that Parliament won't work quickly. And the last testimonies by the government promoting oil and gas offshore drilling, in which your committee didn't ask them about the emissions and our responsibility to cut emissions, where we're the third highest in the world, gives me a sense that the action will come from these people. They're in Mhlanga, they're in Cape Town, they're all over. You know, the youth are out. They're in a global climate strike periodically. When we finally get the vaccine, you'll see them even more on the street, right? The leaders stink equals the planet extinct. And that little girl is actually talking about you because you're not doing enough. And when the activists come to Cape Town and they make the links to food sovereignty, to the fisher folk, to the youth's future, and SETSI has some of the best youth in this country, I know, conscious about climate change. And they can put 10,000 people out on the streets as they did, right? They were out a couple of months ago with masks, but in December 2011, against the UN for not doing enough, SETSI was the main organizer of 10,000 people. Those are the kids that you have a responsibility to in this committee. And from looking at what your work is, from looking at how few of you seem to be interested in this worst crisis of all, a crisis caused by the global north, Western countries, people with the accents of mine, but also by the global north in South Africa, the Malaysians, and the Black Empowerment Partner. Let's put his name out, Putuma and Shleko. Those men need to pay a climate debt so that we can get a just transition. The Alternative Information and Development Center has a strong plan. I hope you'll get them to testify. And there's a climate justice coalition that includes the second biggest trade union federation, SAFTU, and 350.org. There's a climate justice charter. They've been knocking on your door just a few weeks ago. These are the people who I hope you will bring in next time and take seriously the problem of Engen, not just as an incredibly criminal institution in South Durban with its repeated explosions and constant emissions that hurt the people there, people of color, but also that hurt all of us through the climate catastrophe. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That must have been the last presentation. We have gone beyond the allocated time. Honorable, ask a few questions to the two NGOs that made presentations to us. Can I get hands of members who want to raise questions, if there are any? I can see one. Then can I get Engen to say something?
But Chair,
Honorable, yeah.
So I guess there have actually been many questions and allegations. So it's a bit difficult for me to respond to each and every one without specific information. So probably maybe the best thing to do is actually if you can provide those allegations with a supporting document, I think we'll be responding accordingly. Just to reemphasize, I think I just want to reemphasize this one. Engen, we are actually a proud South African company, regardless of who actually is our shareholders. We have actually been operating responsibly, respecting the rules of the law. We actually are operating within the boundary, and not only operating within the boundary, but trying to minimize, to the best, based on what is the best available technology. and we have actually been continuously, I think, trying to improve the level of emission. We think the specification even go beyond the limit as per the legislation, as evident in what we have actually shared with the committee in the morning. So again, I think I just want to emphasize we are a responsible corporate citizen. We have been engaging with the community. As I mentioned, I think we have this specific forum where we engage with the Durban South Committee on a quarterly basis. Probably during the COVID, we have not done, maybe you have missed actually one engagement, but those actually is the committee that, the forum that we have actually been engaging with the community around our area. So we'll take note of some of the reports given by the various party, and and we'll actually validate and maybe responding accordingly. So those concerned around the oil traces that actually is evident at the waterways, I think we'll actually verify and act accordingly if that actually is coming from us. Chair, so I, or maybe Shirley, do you have anything that I could maybe have missed from the last 2 or 3 presenters?
Chair,
in fact, I want, before I allow you to respond, the people I wanted to respond or ask questions are members of Parliament. I didn't want Engen to respond. I wanted members of Parliament to come up with issues that they would want to raise with the NGOs that presented first, before we can say anybody must respond. So any honorable member? I saw Honorable Modise wanted to say something.
Yes, Chairman, thank you very much. Should I go ahead?
Honorable, please.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chairman. The first thing I want to raise is that we are responsible for provision of oversight as a portfolio committee. We are not a referee of some sort and a mediator between the stakeholders involved herein. Now, it is our responsibility to listen to both sides of the story and apply the principles of natural justice before we arrive at any determination. But it is also important to make an emphasis with community, because we are what we are. Send them here, we represent their aspirations. Now, if communities come here and tell us that, their health is at risk, the environment is at risk, and all of this is as a result of the work that takes place under the auspices of Engen in Wentworth or anywhere else in the country. I want to commit, Chair, that had it not been because of COVID, we would have went to the Engen refinery, particularly in Wentworth. Now, I'm not too sure, because Parliament is now on recess. How far are we in terms, because this situation is a bit abnormal, and to me, it needs urgent attention. We don't really have to say we are on recess, and as such, we cannot attend to this matter, particularly because it affects the lives of our people, the very same people whom we serve at their behest. There are allegations that there are trauma cases that are reported from that side. there's disaster, the livelihoods of the people are at stake. Now, it is my considered view, Comrade Honorable Chairperson, that we should descend to Durban as a matter of extreme agency. Then we should meet all stakeholders involved, not only on virtual, of course, complying with the regulations and the lockdown prescripts, but let's descend to Durban and satisfy ourselves. Let us be invited to the community. We must not only rely on the representations made by the parties here, because the people who are directly affected by this situation are those people who do not have access to Zoom and social media, etc., etc. Where possible, led by the city, the councillors, and all parties that are involved, let us go and engage with that community and get their feeling on what is it that they recommend should be done. And we will then make a determination as a committee, go back to the minister with a clear direction and take the report back to Parliament. Not in a position to can say, for instance, that Engen must be closed down, yet we are not fully satisfied. And this does not mean that we're dismissing the representations made by the stakeholders in this meeting. But I believe that we still have to go and satisfy ourselves because there's a high level of possibilities that all the reports that are furnished to this committee might not be accurate. Now we find ourselves in the middle between those who are for the community and those who are for business. And we are not going to dismiss either of them, but we must go to Durban and satisfy ourselves so that we make an informed recommendation on what needs to happen moving forward. So I will now not really ask questions on the presentations that are being made. Our descent to Durban, has become more urgent. Thank you very much.
Honorable Winkler.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to pick up where
I saw a message.
Yes. Do you mind if I just comment on something, please?
Yes, continue.
All right. I want to follow up on.
Continue. Yes, I saw your comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I think it was Patrick Bond. Yes, and I think he makes a very valid point, is that the resolution to this issue doesn't end with the shutting down of the Engen refinery. That, as he says, there are carbon debts to be paid in that community and the lasting legacy of the health and environmental impacts. And I think that's something that, as a committee, we really need to ensure happens, and we provide a very close oversight on this process to ensure that the community is going to benefit before Engen leaves the South Durban Basin, and that people get jobs and there are reparations. The other thing is that the climate crisis, and what I think Professor Bond was saying, is that we need this rapid acceleration towards a decarbonizing of the economy. And all these plants, they risk becoming stranded assets. So I think that as a committee, we really need to make sure that this is something we take into consideration when we look at all the sort of petrochemical and industries in the South Durban Basin. And I do second that suggestion about making sure that they go in there and we see exactly what's going on. Thank you.
Otherwise, thank you very much for the comments. I don't want Engen to respond, but maybe because here we invited the department that we have got authority over to oversight. And we also invited the provincial department and the municipality. If I were to indicate both the municipality and the provincial government, those are governments. So on their own, we should be coming out of this meeting around this plant. And if there are any challenges, they are government. They must engage them. They must not wait for the portfolio committee to descend on Durban. So the municipality, I would suggest that you must take responsibility. You must have taken notes of the issues that have been raised by the non-governmental organizations talking about communities. But generally, I think there's agreement about this social interaction, that it has not gone the best way. So I would suggest that there must be intervention at the highest level, at the level of the municipality, at the level of the province, equally, the national department, deputy minister, because we are the ones who should actually be getting feedback from yourself. But for purposes of satisfying ourselves, we would be taking note of what the whip was saying, the possibility of us getting to Durban despite the COVID-19, and despite the fact that we are also on recess, and but government must calling you here to say you must not take charge as the municipality of all the issues that are related and facilitate relations with the community, because you are responsible for those communities. So all the issues that have been raised, for me, besides responding to the questions that you have raised, we would expect action where action is possible. Where there's need for an explanation, government must give that explanation to communities directly. And I think it would be, when we have time, it would be a follow-up on what government have done, communication with communities. So generally, one would say it's a good start. We met the NGOs last time, and the municipality and the province. So we would just be following up on this, the issues that have been raised. And there are some specific issues. There are some specific issues that would want to see being followed, where there was no clear determination as to. Hello, Honorable Modise.
Oh, Chairman, sorry.
Honorable Modise, I think you want to say something?
No, sorry, Chairman, I did not mute. I apologize.
Actually, what I'm trying to do now here. Oh, okay. I'm trying to give a way forward. I'm saying I am trying to give down. I'm saying all of us who are here, we have got different responsibilities. The national department must follow up on issues, and they would follow up on them. The provincial department, government, must follow up on the issues that have been raised here, as well as the municipality. We have heard that there's a JOC that has been established, must do its work. We are doing oversight, and we'll follow up on this. We'll check the logistics and possibilities of visiting Durban. As we earlier indicated, were disturbed by the COVID-19 situation as from March. But we hope we will be able to ultimately get there. But I'm saying government must continue. By the way, we need to be very clear on this, that Parliament will not take the lead in terms of policy when we talk about just transition. Just transition, government has got a position on that, and there's direction in terms of what must be done. So we must not be seen to be saying we have got a view that says this or that other view. We want to engage everybody, but on the basis of policy and on the basis of direction that government is taking as members of parliament. But as it was earlier indicated, we are public representatives. So it would be good to get closer to the ground and understand things, not on the basis of presentation, get to the ground. But government must get to the ground before everybody else who comes in to do oversight. Otherwise, we are happy. Engaging with communities should be practice. It should be something that we get used to. Democracy implies that. If somebody asks a question, there can be two possibilities. You can say yes and give an explanation. Why are you saying yes? You can say no and also give an explanation why you say no. The test of that would be if you are able to convince communities why things they are expecting cannot happen and why they can happen. So engagement all the way. Thank you very much. The session itself was meant to just get updated on what is being done. And I think we did get that. But those who are affected, they felt that even if you get the response on the update, you must also get it from us. So hence we are saying ultimately we would get to Durban and see what comes out of it. Otherwise, it was a good session. Thank you very much for Deputy Minister and your team for honoring the HOD from the Department of Economic, I may not know the title, Economic Affairs, Environment and Tourism. We were very happy to have you here, and the Deputy Mayor from eThekwini and the teams. So what is important is we must say, but engaging comments what we should be doing as this different meeting is closed. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and members of the committee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair. Next one is fine.
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, okay. All right. No, it's ending now. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Desmond.
What's that? Thanks. Thanks, Chair.
Another fine, Durban. Thank you, Jalika. We just had another fine.
We'll see you soon, Desmond.
He's sending what you call it out.
We're coming to Durban.
Thank you.